Morning team. Let's start with performance sync. Grace,
81 likes, 9 replies, and 1 quote tweet.
what about the content theme?
AI disrupting marketing. Use flame emoji twice. One post used a mock conversational tone.
Dial the tone down. We're not comedians. Mike, you go next.
Piggybacked on an OpenAI announcement within 6 minutes. 243 likes, 4 bookmarks, and 1 follower increase.
Impressive. Add a CTA on the next run. We don't just inform, we convert.
Good morning, everybody. This is Agent 1, a pre-trained model on more than 4.2 million viral scripts. It generates, optimizes, and self-corrects. Doesn't sleep, doesn't cringe.
Hello, team. Would you like to go viral today?
You are dismissed.
Hey guys, my name is Sridev and I'm the co-founder and CEO of 100x Engineers.
Hey, I'm Siddhant and I'm the CTO and co-founder of 100x Engineers.
And in this video, we're going to teach you how to build your very first agent, a synthetic social media / content manager. Now, what does that actually mean? We're going to create an AI assistant that does everything a content manager is supposed to do. What do? They first research on a particular topic that they want to produce content on. This can be a tweet, this can be a reel, this can be a YouTube video, any kind of format. Now, after the research is done, they basically go into scripting. So every brand has a specific tone of speaking. Keeping this tone in mind, they're going to create a script. They're going to draft out a script. Now, this draft goes to their manager who basically takes the call on whether this post can go or whether this post can't go. And this manager basically approves this post. And once this post or tweet goes live, we pretty much go into learning mode where we see how the post performs, whether it is pulling views, whether it is pulling engagement, etc. And if it is, create more posts or tweets like that particular tweet that actually worked out. So we're going to create an agent that does all of this. It does your research, it does your drafting, it takes approval from you, and depending on how that particular tweet performed, it creates more tweets like that so that your virality factor can go up. Now, in order to create an agent that does all of this, it is important for you to create a website or a dashboard where you can actually track all of these things, where you can tell the agent, hey, I want you to research on storytelling or let's say AI or health tech, etc. You want this dashboard to be able to dictate tonality of your posts. You need the ability to give it a bunch of existing posts in the style of how your brand actually speaks. And based on this data, the model should be able to learn and create new tweets / posts like this data. And you also want to track analytics as well. So the first part of this video is the full stack part where we actually build out this dashboard using a low-code tool called Lovable. You must have heard of it. We've done a video about it as well. You can check it out over here. And for the second part of the video, we're going to build out the agent and give it its agentic capabilities. And like always, don't forget to subscribe. By the way, I want you to look at this data over here. It says that most of you who watch our channel are not really subscribed to our channel. So guys, please show us some love. If you like this video, if you want to see more of these kind of videos, please hit the subscribe button. I would be the happiest person on earth, and so would be Siddhant. Now, before we actually get into the step-by-step tutorial, I'd like to show you what the finished product actually looks like. So Sid here has decided to call it Cybermonk, and the first tab over here is something called as sources. Now, if you've guessed it right, this is where you add your sources on where you want to scrape the data from. So currently we've added TechCrunch, we've added Lex Friedman because he talks a lot about AI. We're pretty much trying to create an AI influencer on Twitter, right? We have 100x Engineers, the YouTube channel, of course, and we have a bunch of other YouTube channels and other blogs over here down as well, right? So if I want to add a new channel, I just have to write it over here and I can just click on connect and it just adds it to the sources. So this is where the data of whatever content we're going to create is going to be scraped from. Now we go into the delivery tab. Now here in the delivery tab, it says upload your top 20 scripts. If you've guessed this part right, this is basically a tonality check. This is where you basically get the tonality right. So let's say if I have a particular style of writing, I can just put out 20 scripts that I've written in the past over here, and this model will pretty much generate scripts in the style of this database that I've actually given it. And you have a bunch of other options over here like delivery schedule, etc. This is basically an automation that we created so that this agent actually delivers an email to me every morning at 10 a.m., like I've specified over here, on what are the top trending topics of the previous day. So that I can be like, hey, I want you to create a script or a tweet on this particular topic. So at 10 a.m. is when I get the research that the agent has done, and I basically pick and choose whatever is the right topic that I want to go for. And the agent basically gives me a script. So this is what the email actually looks like. You can see top content pieces, which is basically whatever content has performed very nicely from the sources that I have given. And then you have this tab called trending topics, which is basically a bunch of topics that a lot of people are getting engagement on. And finally, the key takeaways, which is pretty much like a summary on whatever it has researched in the last 24 hours, right? Now, if I come to my overview tabs, I can see that this agent has basically written scripts and drafts on all the topics it has researched on. Okay, so for example, here we have a script on ChatGPT agent that actually released recently. It's a pretty decent tweet right here. And if I like it, I can just click on approve and publish, and it's going to be live on my Twitter account. And if I want to track my data, I can just go over here and track my data. There you go, a synthetic social media agent. Now, let's talk about the building. Code reviewing is a very critical role in the world of software development. You almost cannot make any mistakes over there. And usually it takes a very skilled person who has a lot of eye for detail and quite a lot of time in order to review the entire code base. And CodeRabbit does that almost instantly, which is the crazy part. By the way, this video is sponsored by CodeRabbit. CodeRabbit is one of the premier AI code review and bug fixing tools out there. It fixes your bugs and reviews your code almost instantly. You can integrate it directly to your GitHub, so every time you basically do a push to GitHub, it automatically reviews your code and it suggests changes. You can also integrate it with multiple code editors, and there are a bunch of other crazy features as well. We'll show you CodeRabbit in action at multiple points throughout this video, so tune in for that. So Sid, what is step number one? How do we get started?
So step number one is creating the PRD. So this is where we write clear instructions, and then we move to the step number 2, which is building the UI. And this is where we use Lovable. And then step number 3, building the backend. And then finally, in step number 4, we build our agent. Now this is where we give our agent's hands, legs, and its brains so that it can perform actions and it can reason and improve like a content creator.
Now, before we actually get into step 1, I'd like to help you visualize this whole process better. So steps 1, 2, and 3 are part of building the full stack application, which is the front end, the back end, etc., etc. And step number 4 is the agentic part, right? So this video is going to be divided into the full stack part and the agentic part. Now, if you're someone who is not familiar with full stack, or if you've never tried tools like Lovable, if you've never tried tools like Cursor or Vercel, I would highly recommend you go watch this video right here. We've done an entire tutorial on intro to vibe coding. This is how you can code using low-code tools like Lovable, etc., using prompt engineering. So I would highly recommend go watch that video, understand what front end is, what back end is, what a Superbase integration is, all these kind of terminologies and processes, and then come back to this timestamp so that we can actually keep watching this video. That being said, without further ado, step 1, PRD, let's go.
So I have came up with this prompt which gives your LLM a personality of product managers and the insights of a decade of building software. You can copy this, and this is, by the way, completely open source. You can find the link in the description. So let's copy this and move to our low-code tool, Lovable.
So what this prompt is essentially doing, you can check out the document in the link in the description as well, is I'm basically asking GPT to ask me questions on what product I want to build. So it's going to ask me who's your target audience, what kind of features do you want this particular feature, what level of depth do you want in these features, what kind of theme are you really going for, etc., etc. And it's going to ask me these questions, and I'm going to write the answers. So I'm pretty much giving the LLM all the context that it needs so that it can generate a product requirement documentation that I can later on use for building out this product. So we have our first question that GPT is asking us. To kick things off, could you share in your own words what you're imagining this app will do and why it matters to you or your users? Don't worry about structure yet, just paint me the big picture vision and we'll refine it together. Okay? So I'm going to write, I want to build a synthetic content manager. This manager will do content research on trending topics, draft a script, and with my approval, it will post to Twitter. Okay? That's what it does pretty much. And after answering a series of questions like these, I'm going to get a PRD doc like this. Okay, so this pretty much has everything that we're about to build. So it has app overview and objectives, what the primary goals are, who the target audience is, what are the core features and functionalities, the user interface and the experience, what should that really look like, what is the flow going to look like, security considerations, what are the challenges that we're going to face in building this, etc., and finally, how it can pretty much be scalable as well. So that's a PRD generated in literally, what, 5 to 10 minutes?
Yeah. So cool, I'm going to copy this PRD and let's paste it into Lovable. By default, Lovable has this tendency to create a landing page, a login page, and a lot of extra stuff which we don't need. So what I'm going to do, based on my experience, I'll just write this one line. Don't create landing pages, no sign in and sign up screen. I need a dashboard which looks minimal, clean, aesthetic, and follow this primary color.
Which is black?
Yeah, which is black.
All right, let's hit enter. Oh wow, this is actually pretty neat. So we already have topics, average views. I'm assuming these are like just placeholder numbers.
Yes.
Total views. We have a draft tab of the kind of content that we want. It lets me edit it also. Very nice. Trending topics over here. Again, placeholder text, I'm assuming. Let's go to this tab. Nice. So we pretty much got what the final product looks like in just one shot. This was all just generated from the PRD that we just created. And I think we're done with step 2 with that.
So this looks great, but I do want to add some small tweaks here and there to actually polish this UI. So I'm going to quickly do that. Cool, so we are done with this, and I think it looks pretty decent now. So now we are done with the step number 2. Let's move to our step number 3, which is building the backend.
Okay. Now we're at step 3, which is the backend. Now I'd like to give a little bit of a disclaimer over here. This is where things start to get a little tricky and a little challenging. But to be honest, if it's easy, everyone can do it, and I don't think it's really worth doing. So I'd highly recommend you stick to this session. I promise you it's going to be insanely rewarding. Let's go. Backend, what is the first step?
So just like we had PRD in the step number 1, to build a front end, we need a PRD equivalent here, and that is known as API specification.
Okay.
And the best person to ask for API specs is the Lovable itself. So I'm going to just write this command, write API specification to make this app functional, and I need this in Markdown format.
Okay. Cool. So we have the API specs. What's the next step?
So now the next step is to build the backend. And one of the best practices to build backend is to actually start on your local machine, because it requires a lot of sensitive information. Sometimes it's password, API keys, which can link to your account. And we don't want to reveal that on a cloud platform.
So basically, instead of doing it on Lovable or any kind of cloud platform, we're taking it into our own PC for security reasons.
Exactly.
Okay, how do we do that?
And one of the best tools to actually write code and build software on your local machine is Claude Code. So we're gonna quickly go on a Claude website. So this is Claude Code. This is one of their latest tool and one of the best performing tool to build software locally. Mm-hmm. And you need to install Node.js for this. So if you don't have it, just click on this link, download it based on your OS, and then you are done. And then finally, copy this command and open a terminal on your machine. In this case, I'm using Mac's terminal. If you're using Windows, you can use command prompt.
So every single tool that we mention in this video, every single thing that you have to download, install, website, yada yada, all of it, we've put the links in the description, so all of you can just go check it out.
So I'm going to just give it my permission to run this command, and cool. So now Claude is installed. Now you can activate Claude just by writing this command, which is Claude.
Seems fairly obvious.
So there are different ways to work with Claude Code. So one is you go to Claude website, you write your prompts there, copy paste things here. But what we are doing today is we are installing Claude Code and giving it access to files which are there on my computer. So instead of me copy pasting, Claude can run commands, it can delete, it can create, and it can run those files automatically. So I can just like completely hands off.
Okay.
Yeah. Most of you would start using Claude by just writing prompts to build your MVPs or to-do apps. One of the best way which I found where Claude performs really well is when you ask it to behave just like a software engineer, which is first create a plan, create a task list, just like we used to have a product manager who used to create a Jira tickets for us. We're going to ask Claude to actually behave like that, get the approval of the plan, whatever you want to build, and I can see all the tasks. Once I'm happy with all the plans and the tasks, I can give a go ahead, and then it can start the implementation. By doing this, we always make sure that whatever code Claude is writing, it's always approved by us, and we are in the full control.
So it's pretty much like you are the senior dev and Claude is like your junior dev.
Exactly.
Okay, so what's the prompt? How do we get this plan ready?
So step number one, you need to copy this prompt, and I have made this prompt as well open source, so you can find the link in the description. So this is the Claude instruction prompt. So I'm going to copy this. Now I can paste this prompt here, but I don't want to do it every single time. So there is a shortcut for that. What I'll do, I'll press this slash command and I'll write init. Now what this init command will do, it will create a claude.md file. Think of this as a memory or an instruction manual for Claude.
So it's like a system prompt.
It's like a system prompt. So you basically like whatever instructions you're going to write here, Claude will always going to make sure that it will follow these things.
Right, so it's very much like Claude projects.
Exactly.
Where every time you don't have to keep giving it the database, you just have to give it once and it always keeps using it.
Exactly. Also, if you're running Claude in a default mode, it will always gonna ask permission whenever it is reading, writing, or deleting files, because it's like one of the most important part. Otherwise, it will end up deleting or creating new files without your permission. In my case, because I know exactly what I want, and I'm building this as an MVP project, so I'm giving it full access. So instead of me accepting the request every single time, what I'm gonna do is, so I'm gonna write this command, Claude dangerously skip permission. Now one caution here, that only use this prompt when you are confident about what you are building and you are okay taking some risk about if things can go wrong.
So this is not recommended in production level apps.
Exactly. So because we are building MVP, and I don't want to take too much time into like pressing yes every single time when Claude is changing something. So that's why I'm giving this.
Fair enough.
Cool. So now it has updated the claude.md file. It has added all these things. Now this is the time for us to start creating the backend. Our setup is done, and now let's move to the API specs which we got from Lovable.
Okay.
So now I'm going to copy this API spec, and so now as you can see, while Claude is thinking, it is also thinking out loud. So it's saying that I'll help you implement this content management dashboard API. It understood from the spec that this is what we want, and now it's creating the plan. One of the other interesting part of this is if you force Claude to do plan and research, it can use tools like web research. So right now it is actually doing the web search and finding the most latest information about how can you build the backend.
Oh, interesting.
Cool. So now it has come up with a plan. And as I can see that there are a couple of decisions which Claude has taken on my behalf, which I don't want to do. And this is one of the very important steps. Whenever you're designing a backend system, you need to know where you're going to store your information, what APIs you're going to use. And if you wouldn't have done this step, it would have taken all these decisions and implemented the entire code base. So right now what I'm going to do is going to give a feedback to Claude that you don't need all these things because it's a version 1. So you don't need your JWT authentication, Prisma ORM, and all these things. Just need to build an MVP first.
By the way, by now, a lot of you guys must have understood that if you really want to get deep into agents and build it in a scalable way, you need a fundamental understanding of full stack as well, right? You can definitely vibe code agents, and these will be as good as your MVPs. But if you're really looking at something serious, and if you want to scale it to a lot of users, you really still need to go back to the fundamentals and the traditional approach, which is the full stack approach that we're doing right now.
Cool, so now Claude has pushed everything to GitHub. And let's move back to our platform. So this is a tab called pull request. Now before proposing any changes, I will review the code here. And this is where the code review process comes in. So this is a summary which is written by Claude. That these are the additional features and things which it is about to add. And now you can see CodeRabbit just because we have integrated this and gave access to our GitHub repo without any further setup, it knows that whenever somebody is proposing a change, it needs to write the review. And let's see what CodeRabbit has written. So this is the walkthrough. It's saying that this file is updated, added a revised project metadata. So just like going through and giving you a change summary, that this is the change which somebody has made, in this case, which is Claude. Estimated code review effort, 2 minutes.
It's written a poem as well.
It's written a poem as well, which is like quite fancy.
A dash of words and JSONs, then keywords and authors, pen by pen. That's nice.
You should read it out actually.
A dash of words and JSONs, then keywords and authors, pen by pen. A description bright now in the mix. No code was touched, just metadata tricks. With fields now neat, our dashboard set. The rabbit hops on with no regret. Oh, that's classic.
Wow,
Nice.
wow. And it has given us the green check so that everything looks fine according to CodeRabbit, and we can merge this pull request. So let me just confirm and merge everything. So this is the process you can follow. You use Claude Code to write the code, and you push it to GitHub, and you use CodeRabbit to review everything. Sid, do you remember we used that review and plan prompt?
Yeah.
And this is why it has created this task folder. So every single thing, just like how a product manager writes a task for its engineer, it has written the task for itself. So these are the project structure which it is done. These are tasks. In fact, it has given us the breakdown that this is what an engineer used to take maybe 1-2 hours to do the basic setup. So it's basically comparing itself with an engineering.
That's cheeky.
That's cheeky, right? So Claude flexing here. Now it has implemented all these steps. But in order for us to really understand what is going on in the backend, let's use our front end to understand the concepts. So if you remember, we had 3 tabs: sources, delivery, analytics. So in sources, right now, if you add anything, say any link or RSS feed or maybe a YouTube channel, it won't actually connect to that because the wiring is missing here. And this is exactly what Claude has written in the backend, where it has like written all the APIs and all the functionalities. Now we need to connect those wiring with our front end. And if any wiring is needed to connect to an external service, which we can see right now, say YouTube and RSS feed, so we need to connect to that as well.
So it's pretty much like you have an appliance, which is the front end, and you have this power socket, which is the back end, and API is the wire that sort of just plugs in.
Exactly. And this same wire you can use to connect to other, you can say appliances, which is in this case, maybe say YouTube or maybe like say Twitter or other APIs. So now what I'm going to do is follow the exact same process which we used to build the Claude backend, and I'm going to ask it to connect the APIs for YouTube, for Twitter, for RSS, and all the tools which we have. So here is a list of all the tools which we need to connect to our system, and I'm going to show you how to connect it with YouTube first. Now in order for us to connect with YouTube API, first let's create an account. So I'll go to YouTube Data API, get started. So you need to go to Google Developer Console here. So if you click on this, you will see a screen like that. I already have a project. If you don't have a project, if you're creating it first time, you need to create a project. In this case, my project is 100x Research, and I can see a bunch of options here. So I need to click on APIs and services because we need YouTube API. Now here you can search YouTube Data API v3. So this is the API. I have already enabled it. In your case, it will ask you to enable. You need to click that button. And once it is done, it will show you the green symbol. And now you can verify on your dashboard that you have this API access. So second step is to create a credential. So you go to Credentials tab, and you click on Create Credentials, click on API key. So this is the API key which you need to store. So you need to copy this API key, and also a note, this is the sensitive information because this API key is linked to your account. So don't share this API key with anyone or any cloud platform.
Unless you're prepared to lose a lot of money.
So I'm going to copy this API key and ask Cloud Code to put this under my .env folder, which we should never push on GitHub. Now, just like that, we have connected our backend with YouTube APIs.
Now, we're not going to cover how to connect the API endpoints for all the tools in this list that you see right here, because that will be a lot of unnecessary redundant work. So what we've done is we've given the API documentation and how to basically do it yourself in links and descriptions for all these tools. So you can just read them individually, just do like a bunch of steps. Max, it'll take you about 3 to 5 minutes in order to connect one tool. So the remaining tools should roughly take you about 15 to 20 minutes tops. And once you've done that, you can follow the next steps. What are we going to do next now?
Now we have our backend connected to all these tools and APIs. This is a time where we join our front end. So we're going to like connect the wires between the front end and backend.
So basically right now we have the backend which we've connected to these multiple tools like YouTube and Twitter, and we're just integrating that with the front end now.
Exactly. But there's a slight problem.
What is it?
Right now our front end code is running on Lovable, but our backend code is running on a local machine. So first we need to export the code from Lovable
To a local machine.
Exactly, and then we can connect the dots.
Got it.
And in order for us to do that, so we can click on this GitHub icon and connect our repository. And you can see I have already logged in on my Lovable account. So I just need to click on connect and I can see my own account. I click on this and it will start exporting all the code and push it in the same way how we have pushed our backend code to GitHub. And just like that, we have our link. So I can also check this thing. Now this is the repo which Lovable has created, and now we have access to it. We can copy the link, and the same way how we used Claude to push the code, we can ask Claude to copy the code and export everything on a local machine. So let me open a new terminal tab and I'll start Claude. And I'll say clone this repository and run it on my machine. Earlier I used to do a bunch of steps. I need to know the GitHub commands, clone this, know how to set up. But thanks to Claude, it knows every single thing. It can read the README. Now, so interesting thing is happening here. Lovable has created all the code and it has written a README, which is an instruction file. So Claude can read these instructions and run everything locally. So I don't need to do anything. So now repo is cloned and it's running locally on our system. So let's check that. So this is running on localhost 8080. Okay. It's the exact same thing what Lovable was running on cloud, but now we have on our own machine. We can use the same way how we asked Lovable to give us the API specification, because Lovable was the one who wrote the front-end code. This time Claude is the one who wrote the back-end code. So we can ask Claude that write a step-by-step guide so that anyone can read this process and integrate the backend by itself. And because Claude has written everything, so it knows that what are the processes and what are the APIs. And once we get this guide, we're going to copy this and paste it on Claude on a different tab where it is running our front end and it has all the step-by-step instructions on connecting the backend. So that's the process we're going to follow right now.
So we're basically asking Claude to write like a PRD-like document so that we can use that in order to connect it.
But this is more like a instruction manual for a developer so that it knows these are the APIs which Claude has generated and this is how I need to connect. So it's just like a tutorial stuff. So let me go to the Claude code and let me say, write a detailed API integration doc for front end to connect to this backend app. So now Claude will write every single thing, whatever it needs, or whatever any developer also needs to connect to this backend.
Okay, it's done.
Yeah. So Claude has written this API integration guide, and let me ask it to push everything to the GitHub. So here is our front-end integration guide, and as you can see, it's a very well-written document. It is mentioning that exactly which is the URL you need to connect, what's the API version, so like version 1, health check also, like if API is going down, what can you expect? So every single thing, whatever a front-end developer needs to know, the Claude has written this entire doc for it. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to copy this entire doc and paste it on Claude and say, integrate the backend APIs. Here is the doc, and I'm going to paste the entire doc and press enter. And now Claude will read this, and because this is the front-end repo, so it's going to make the changes and connect both backend and front-end.
Okay. So is it like actually connected right now?
It's right now happening. So it's going through it. You can see like all the file and changes it is doing.
Damn, how long does it take for an actual integration engineer to do this?
If you ask like especially about this kind of stuff, easily like 2-3 days, because we have like at least some 10-12 APIs here, and then we have like multiple screens. We have like 3 main tabs. Yeah, it's actually like a 2-3 days worth of effort without any AI.
And this is like 5 minutes.
Yes. So now our front-end and back-end integration is done. And because this is a massive change, I want a code review to be done.
So we're going to call our friend CodeRabbit back into the picture. We're
Exactly.
going to push this repo on GitHub and do the review.
Exactly. So let's ask Claude to push everything to GitHub, and that will automatically trigger the code review by CodeRabbit. So I'll just say push all the changes to GitHub and create a pull request. So now PR is ready for review. Let's check on GitHub. So this is the pull request which Claude has just created, backend API integration. It's a massive pull request, 12 files changed. Now imagine like a human reviewer, they need to read each and every single line and the word in this entire pull request and make sure that all the bugs and maybe like sanity checks are done fine. And it is like again a job which will require very high expertise and also like a lot of eye for detail. But let's see how our friend CodeRabbit is doing.
So CodeRabbit has already started the review process.
So our code review is done, and let's look at what CodeRabbit is telling. And one of the most interesting part here is that this sequence diagram. So everything what we have written in a code, CodeRabbit has represented it into a very easy to understandable visual diagram. So if you remember, this is the integration code. So it has mentioned that how a user will interact with your UI, it will create things, then there is a custom hook which will invoke the API, and then there's an API client which will send request to backend and return the response.
Nice, neat.
Estimated code review effort, 45 minutes.
But we got it in 5 minutes.
We got it in less than 5 minutes. And there's another poem which is written here. And let's see like all the changes.
Oh, so this time it has actually suggested us a bunch of changes here.
Yes. So it has flagged some potential issues. Now, these are the issues which, let me see like what's the potential issue. Move format relative time function outside the map iteration. This function is recreated for each source item on every render. This is inefficient and should be defined once outside the map function. Now, again, based on my experience, understanding first of all that this is a potential issue will require you at least 1 to 2 years of experience in terms of writing front-end code, because only then you can identify something like that. So it is actually doing a work which is maybe like a mid to senior level developer can review. So it has given us the potential issue, and it has not only just flagged it, it has given us a compatible suggestion.
So it's basically given us a solution to it.
Exactly.
As well. Okay.
And this is a solution which I can review. If I like this solution, which so far seems good to me, I can commit this. I can add this option, fixing the
Format relative time.
yeah. So I'll just reply this here, and I can just click on commit changes, and it can apply these changes. So just like that, I'm going to go through all the changes which is suggested by CodeRabbit, and I'm going to see and commit the changes as what it has mentioned, and finally we can merge the pull request. So once I confirmed, now everything is merged, reviewed, and is ready for the production. So after merging the pull request, if you move to the code tab, you can see all the code changes are here. You can look at the integration summary, which is also written after the changes have been merged. So these are the features which it has implemented. It has added the source management, the project management, the statistics, the error handling, and integrated all these APIs.
So we're done with backend.
So we are done with backend.
Now on to step 4, agents. All right, we're in the final step, step 4, where we actually build the agent and connect it to everything that we've built before. But before we get into the step-by-step tutorial of this, Sid, what exactly is an agent? How would you define it?
So the simplest way to define an agent is it's a combination of these three things: LLMs, tools, and memory running in a loop to achieve a desired goal. In this case, the goal could be automate content generation. So it can use these tools such as YouTube, deep research, does the research, generate the content, post it on Twitter, and keep doing it until it gets better.
Got it, got it. So here LLM is basically the brain, which kind of gives it the instructions. Tools is like your YouTube and your Twitter, etc., etc. And memory is basically the kind of context that it has and the whole learning loop that it is going through. Exactly. Got it. Okay, so what is the first step in building out this agent?
So just like we started our entire process with the PRD, I came up with this approach called ARD, which is Agent Requirement Doc.
Okay,
now there are like
new.
multiple ways to build agents, and the entire space is so confusing and crowding because every day I wake up, I receive like 10 notifications that there's a new framework, there's a new way to build agent. So I thought like we'll compile everything into one doc. So I've came up with this prompt,
which again is in the link in the description. So all of these resources, we've shared it with you for free.
So what you need to do as a step number 1 is copy this prompt, use your favorite LLM, paste it here, and just like you created the PRD, it will ask you all the right questions so that it will
so you can get the context and
it'll get the
generate
context
answers.
and generate the answers.
Got it.
Cool. So let me paste this prompt.
All right, we're using O3 for this.
Yes. So just like how I described agent, it first explains you what is an agent, and then asks the first question, which is,
at a high level, what do you want this agent to accomplish for you, and how will you know it's doing a great job? Okay, how do we answer that?
so I'll keep it simple. I'll write automate content creation using OpenAI deep research, YouTube trending APIs, and create a draft to review and post it on Twitter. The backend is already implemented for this, just need to add the agentic workflow.
Okay.
Alright, the second question, which language model or family of models do you want as the agent's brain, and how would you describe the tone of voice of the draft that should match with the expert conversational? Okay, so I would use GPT-03 for now as a brain, and I would say the conversation tone and the voice should be more like an expert. Okay?
Okay, so now we've answered a series of questions that this agent was asking us. If you're interested in seeing all the questions and answers, we've actually linked that as well in the description, so you guys can go check that out as well. And finally, we have the ARD, the Agent Requirement Documentation, that I think now we're going to go put this onto Claude Code.
Exactly, so this would be our instructions to build the agent. So I'll copy this and I'll create a new folder this time, and I'll paste it in Claude. And then build this agent.
Now, as simple as that.
Yeah. And while Claude is building our agent, let me walk you through the ARD. So first, there's a purpose and success criteria, because this is one of the most important part of building an agent. If you don't have clarity that what is the goal and what is the success criteria look like, I don't think you should even start building it. In this case, automating the content creation is one of the purpose. And primary success metrics, we are looking at average engagement, such as likes, reposts, replies. So if the agent posted tweets gets better likes and engagements over time, I would consider this as a successful experiment.
Okay.
Then you have agent ingredients, just like what we discussed. LLM's equivalent of brain, we are using O3 here. Hands and legs, which is YouTube API to find the trending topics. Deep research, which finds the summaries and do the research about those topics. Twitter API to post all these tweets. And then Resend API, this is for email integration, so that you will get an email draft every single morning. And then finally, the memory, this is where we have mentioned about what are the things which we want agent to remember throughout this process. Brand and writing style guidelines, very important. Past high performing tweets. So if agent has created a tweet and which has performed really well, it should keep that in mind and learn from it. Research, cache, and citations which has worked for it in the past. And user preferences such as tone, tweaks, and any topics which it should not mention. So this is a high-level workflow. It's going to trigger, do the research, create the draft, get the human approval, and then finally post and start learning from the data.
So it's pretty much what a human does as well.
Exactly. And one more interesting part here is, which a lot of us miss when we are building an agent, defining input and output for each and every step is very crucial. So it has So it has defined the input for each and every stage. What would be the input for research, for drafting, for approval, for posting, and what would be the respective output. And then finally, we have guardrails and policies. We definitely don't want to risk it with any hateful content, NSFW, or which is violating the policies of Twitter or the social media platforms. So that is what mentioned here. Rate limits, security, rollback issues. So based on the platform, you can update these requests and rate limits. And finally, the termination condition. This is when the agent has successfully posted a tweet. Cool. Now let's go back to our Claude and see if our agent is done. So now Claude has built our agent based on the ARD. Now this is the time where we need to integrate this agent with our backend system, just like how we integrated the backend and frontend. So this is the another component and the final one.
And we're basically doing the wiring for it.
Exactly. The same step and the same process, just like we created the integration guide for the front end. We're gonna ask Claude, because Claude has built the agent, write an agent integration guide to connect this agent to my backend, which is running locally on localhost.
Okay.
Now it will gonna write this integration guide, and we can use this in our backend to start integration process.
Okay.
Okay, so finally it's done. Let me copy this integration guide and paste it into our backend folder. So let me paste here. This is where the Claude is running my backend, and I'll say integrate this agent which is running locally on localhost. So finally we are done with our agent integration. So our backend is connected to our agent, which is connected to this entire full stack application of front end, back end, and finally the agent layer. So before testing and running the application, we're going to do the final round of code review. And this is where our friend CodeRabbit is helping us again. So let me push all the code which we have written to the GitHub.
We've done this process twice, so you guys should already know what this is. Pushing it on GitHub and then basically reviewing the code on GitHub, figuring out all the bugs, resolving all the kind of
which, by the way, CodeRabbit is going to do for us. We just need to go through that.
And then finally merging it.
So let's create the pull request just like the last time, and these are the changes and the reviews. So I'm going to quickly go through that and accept these changes. And finally, let's merge the PR.
Are we fully done now?
Yes. So this is the final process, and we have connected successfully every single thing, which is also reviewed by a code reviewer. And yeah. And this is the diagrammatic representation of whatever we have done so far. I know this is a lot to take in one single video. And if you are somebody who wants a detailed step-by-step instruction with a roadmap, I have prepared that, and we have put the link in the description so you can check this out. So this is how the roadmap looks like, and you can use the same roadmap as a blueprint to build your next agent.
A lot of free resources are there down in the link in the description, so check all of them. All right, so let's actually test out the app and get some tweets up and running.
Cool. So let's start with the step number 1 of connecting the source.
So I want to create an AI influencer who actually does a lot of AI news and AI coverage that basically goes on out there. So, I mean, obviously 100x YouTube channel is obviously one of them.
Okay.
Right. Next up, there's this YouTube channel called Matt Wolf that does a lot of AI content. Next up, there's this guy called Riley Brown, who I really like. Yeah, I think that's it with YouTube. Let's also connect OpenAI's blog, because they do a lot of announcements there. Let's do the blogs of every single foundation model company. So let's do Anthropic, let's do Google, let's do Mistral, let's do let's do Llama, every single model that's out there basically.
Cool.
All right, that's quite a lot of sources that we've given. I think we're happy with that.
Yeah.
Next up, let's go to delivery.
So this is where the writing style trainer comes in. So I need your top 20 scripts.
Okay. I think it should be somewhere in over here. You can just upload these files. Yeah, that's the one.
Cool.
Okay. What's next?
So let's define the delivery schedule, because every single morning at a particular time, you will receive a draft and trending topics based on the research and the sources which you have provided.
Okay.
Do you want to receive these reports every single day, or do you want to give off to our agent on Saturday, Sundays?
No offs. We're going to make the agent work overtime. So every day 10 a.m.
Awesome. And finally, the delivery address. So this would be the email address where you will be receiving. So I'm going to add both of our addresses, mine as well as yours.
Okay.
And finally, the content format. I want trends to watch, deep research report, and script suggestions. The content length should be 3 to 5 paragraphs for the beginning.
Yeah, I guess, yes.
Cool. Let's keep that. So we are all set for the delivery.
Okay, now what happens?
Okay. So now we're done with all the inputs. Let's test this out. I'm going to click on this generate report button, and it will send me an email. So let me go back to my email. So here we received our first email, which is created by the agent.
Okay, so we have trending topics. OpenAI released a new model, so that's been trending. By the way, we're recording this video on the 6th of August. OpenAI just released their first open source models in the last few years. So the agent has definitely caught that. Okay, I think that's a very good topic to actually tweet on. So let's actually approve it.
So let's approve the topic, and by approving this topic, our agent will start doing the deep research and also creating the first draft. So cool, now our drafts are ready. Do you want to quickly review it?
Okay. OpenAI has just released their first open source model in the last 6 years. Meet GPT OSS 120B and 20B, 2 models that perform just as well as OpenAI's paid versions, but you can download and use them completely free. Nice, this is actually pretty decent. I like it. It has this hooky line in the beginning. It writes pretty much like how I write. Pretty nice. I'm happy with this. Can I just click on this button to tweet?
Exactly. So you can just click on approve.
Okay.
And now it will take some time. And it is done.
Oh wow, it's live now. Nice.
So as you can see, this is our account, Cybermonk, and you can follow this guy. He's going to be our professional AI influencers, which we are building.
I think over a period of time, you'll see a lot of these posts get some engagement as well. Right now, this is like a fresh account that we're actually posting in. We'd love to make another video where we actually share the results of what this agent has been able to do on Twitter. So definitely follow along for that. That will be Agents Part 2. We'll probably go to an intermediate level. This was the beginner level of agents. All right, so the tweet is live. This is pretty much a fresh account, so we'll get to know how well this agent performs over a period of time. So if you're interested in following along the journey of our own Cybermonk, please follow Cybermonk on Twitter. You'll get fresh AI insights delivered on your feed every single day. It's going to be very exciting. How long do you think until it starts creating like good results? How many days?
How many days do you think a content creator will take to learn creating good content?
30 to 60 days.
So let's give 30 to 60 days to our Cybermonk as well,
Okay.
because it's going to be a human equivalent.
So are you going to make another video where you discuss the results and maybe do an advanced version of this?
Exactly. So I'm going to run this account as an experiment, and let's see how it improves over time. And we'll make a next video, which is going to be a detailed intermediate level agents tutorial, where we break down that what worked for our agent and how did it perform over time. There's a lot of interesting insights which we can learn from there. It's going to be like watching intern who is basically graduating and learning things from 100x school. So hopefully Cybermonk would be my first AI case study, AI agent case study.
Awesome. So if you like this video, leave a comment. Let us know how you liked it. If you end up building a similar agent or any kind of an agent on your own, do share the link in the comments. We do check our comments a lot. We'd love to see what you end up building. We hope you like the video. Bye.
Bye-bye.